Hi, and welcome to Fawns and Porter's video 3 for Freeform Block of the Month. We are working with Paintbrush Studios fabrics, and I just love them. I love all the textures that you can find on this. It's wonderful. I'm your host, Jenny K. Parks. You can find out more about me on my website, Facebook, or YouTube under Jenny K. Quilts. Today we're going to talk about our square and a square block, and I'll take you through the simple steps for this. This is a classic. It is also a wonderful scrappy block. Now think about this. If you keep all the scraps, and we know we all do, if you keep all the scraps after making this, you can put together this same block in a very scrappy way, and putting them all together looks really cool. I think that'd be neat. All right, so let's just start with this one. Let's get started. We're going to start with our center. Now, all of the fabrics in this quilt, this is the only one that has a direction that I was concerned about. And what I decided to do is make all the raindrops, it looks like raindrops, they're all going down. That's what it looked like to me. You can pick whatever direction you want and however you want it to go. Just be consistent. I mean, I was doing it and I realized I put some rows together. I was ready to do the final piecing and I realized I had one that was upside down. Like, oh, yeah. So I ripped that out and changed it. If I did every other one, that'd be a design feature. That'd be a design choice that you can certainly make. But just be aware that this is here, and this is a vibrant pattern on this fabric. If you change it or it's different, it's going to be obvious. So try to keep track and decide how you want it to go. However you want it to show up is fine. It works great. Whatever's going to make you happy with this quilt. So first we're going to start with our center square. We have just this little guy right there. Ta-da! Plain and simple. All right. Next we need to make the squares that are going to go on the outside. So we take this fabric to do it. Now we're going to need to cut this twice, okay? And I don't cut at awkward. I don't cut like across myself. I don't even want to show you guys that because I think it's a bad and dangerous technique. I want to show you safe ways to do this. So what I do when I have to cut it diagonally twice is I'm going to put it at a little bit of an angle this way, okay? And then, well, I have my rotating mat, but we're going to pretend I don't have a rotating mat here. I'm going to cut it here from corner to corner. Make sure I'm lined up well. Don't move anything, and just pick up your ruler and switch it over this way. Had I been trying to cut this just on the straight, I would have had to like move around and cross cut on myself. I don't want to do that. But here we have our 4 pieces that are needed to go on this here. Now, if you have like a little triangle trimmer, you can trim off the little bits of the triangle. That helps you to match up things really well on here. But another trick you can do is, we'll fold this in half. And I'm just going to press it a little bit. I want it to be very firm in there. And then I'm going to take this and fold it and press just this little part as well. There we go. This tells me exactly where the center is. I remember when I first started quilting, I'm like, wait a minute, it's bigger. It's too long. Where do I start? What do I do? So pressing it in the middle and lining that up, these little dog ears will trim away. But you have to have that extra space so that you have everything, so that you have a 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. If we did it just right up to the edge, right like that, you would lose it and you wouldn't be able to put it together. So we're going to fold that over, and I'm just going to put a pin in there because I don't want to fiddle too much once I get down there. I do love making these in a really scrappy way. You can just sit down and sew it, and to me, after the intensity, the mental intensity of putting the curves together, it's nice to have something that you just sit down and sew. come over here and press. I like to press away from the center. I think it works a little bit better that way. It just be consistent all the way around, pressing away from the center. The choice is up to you. It really doesn't matter with these particular colors. Just be consistent with the way you want it to go. All right, so press that there. Now, put all the rest of these on. So here we are with the same scenario. We're going to put the last one on. And I'm going to do the same thing. But before I sew this on there, I want to cut off those dog ears that are left over. Get that out of the way. And now I'm just going to line that up. And I'm going to put a little pin there. I just want to make sure that part doesn't slip as I'm sewing along. You also need to watch here because I have a seam on the underside and it might flip up. It's just something to be aware of and watch out for when you're getting started here. Okay, press. And press them all out. All right, so you can see from the underside. Now it looks like I pressed this, so I was trying it different ways. Pressing it all towards the middle, and I think my natural tendency is to press it out. So, but you can choose to do the way that you want to do it. I trim those dog ears off, and we'll go on to the next part. So we need our squares that are going to go around the outside. So let me cut that up for you. And this is just simple. We just need to cut this on the diagonal once. That's easy. Make sure you're lined up corner to corner. There's our pieces. And I want to take this block and we're going to put it on. We'll just start right here. We'll put the first one on. Again, I'm going to do my folding technique. Now, I want you to notice too, this fabric, this fabric is very close on the top and the bottom. It's hard to tell. And my suggestion is that if you can't tell, nobody else can tell. Try to cut it and be consistent, but if you accidentally slip one in, which I suspect I have, nobody's going to be able to tell. If you can't even tell, you're fine. So I'm going to assume that's the side that I want. And I'm going to press that little fold in one more time on here. Now, because I'm matching a point right here, I don't need to press that. I don't need to fold it and press it. I can just match. So I'm going to pin. See how I'm lining up that fold right along that point? I'm going to pin that it's nice and lined up. Okay. And then what I've done here, you can see that you know that there's an X where they're going to cross on that little part. They're going to cross right there. So that's where I want to be sure when I stitch over it, I want to be sure I stitch right over that X. And I'm going to stitch with this part on top because this is the point that I want to meet, right? The point is the point. So let's see if I can do it. Another option too, if you miss it when you're doing it like this, because you can't see the X, you can always put a little mark on the fabric showing you where the X is so that you don't miss it anymore. And in fact, I'm going to take a little peek there. I'm going to eyeball it and make sure I'm lining it up with my 1/4 of an inch with where my needle's going to go down. Take the pin out. And then I'm going to readjust a little bit and making sure things are lined up. Okay, let's see how it did. Again, I'm pressing towards the outside. Oh, look at that. I nailed it. Yes. I love it. All right, so you can see it's lined up just right there. You can trim the dog ears out, but sometimes you might be working with something where you made a mistake and things are not lining up exactly and you know it. I would wait till you have the block together to go back and trim any dog ears off as best you can. I would wait to do that because sometimes that little bit of seam allowance that you trim off, you might need that. Okay, so let's put on the last part of our block here. Put on the last one, so you just continue around, and here's